Elizabeth Olsen has weird thumbs. It's true, I do.
Hello, you beautiful nerds. Disney Plus's first Marvel TV show is wrapped up, so I finally get to talk about it. I was gonna do a week-to-week review, but I didn't really have time for that. These videos take forever to make, and I still have to go to work and shit. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've already seen the entire show, so be warned. I'm gonna be discussing a lot of plot twists. So if you ain't afraid of no spoilers, have a drink and a joint, because we're gonna talk about it. But first, a prelude. In the year of our Lord 2013, Marvel Studios, in a fit of ambition and creativity, premiered a show called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The series promised to be a week-to-week series that would coincide narratively with the MCU, but it never really felt like they had anything to do with each other. Every once in a while you get a cameo from a movie character, but it always felt like the show was reacting to the actions of the movies and never the other way around. Even the actors on the show were like, yeah, I don't think Kevin Feige cares about our show.
People who make movies for Marvel, why don't you acknowledge what happens on our show? Why don't you guys go ask them that? Because they don't seem to care. I'm kind of like ready for Steve Rogers to make an appearance on our show. I'd be okay with that.
Because of this, I eventually lost interest. Also, it wasn't that good. So when Marvel announced these Disney Plus shows, I wasn't that excited. Especially for Loki and WandaVision. Because the description for Loki sounded like Sherman and Mr. Peabody.
That's right, Mr. Peabody! Quiet, you.
And WandaVision sounded like it was going to be a short, weird story that we find out at the end was all a dream or some such shit. I honestly didn't think that there were going to be any consequences that we see in any other Marvel movies. Again, before this, we just had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which the movies passively ignored, and the Netflix shows, which the movies actively ignored. But this is going to have huge implications for future Marvel flicks. So let's talk about what we're talking about. The series is kind of split up into 3 different parts. So I'll start by explaining what makes each section unique, what purpose they all serve, and how at the end it all comes together. Like butt cheeks. The first 3 episodes present itself as a pretty grounded sitcom. It's pretty much Bewitched meets Dick Van Dyke Show.
It's the Van Show, starring Van.
I actually like this first section a lot. Bewitched and the Dick Van Dyke Show are actually 2 of my favorite black and white sitcoms, and this show nailed that style of comedy. In the first 2 episodes especially, it felt like you were watching a 60s TV show, until, like, weird shit started happening. Though it looks like Wanda and Vision are living happily in Pleasantville, something is a little off. Like, Kitty Foreman is acting all creepy, the radio has strange voices coming out, there's a beekeeper guy, and everybody's kind of acting like that maid from Get Out. I liked this section, but I also wasn't expecting more than this. I mean, from the description, I figured that this is all we were gonna get from the show until, like, the last episode. But things change up a little bit quicker. Turns out Geraldine is actually Monica Rambeau, daughter of Captain Marvel's lover, Maria. I mean, they didn't say that her mom was dating Aunt Carol, but let's not play. They was fucking. Turns out Wanda kinda inadvertently put the whole town under her control after grieving from the death of Vision. And that's why everyone is acting like they're all in a TV show.
Oh, this is gonna be a gas!
Anyway, Monica has a lucid moment and is like, your brother was murdered, right? And Wanda doesn't really like her actors going off book, so she throws Monica out of town.
It's all Wanda.
This is where the show starts looking and feeling like a Marvel movie. The 4th episode opens up with Monica appearing out of thin air in an empty hospital room. Turns out she was one of the people that got blipped when Thanos did the thing. But then when Hulk did his thing, she returned to the hospital room where she was taking care of her mother. I really liked all this stuff. Anytime we can be reminded of how incredibly awful the snap was, I think it's well served. Since everybody came back, it's kind of seen as if everything bad that happened was reversed, but there were some serious consequences to the first and second snap, and I like that we took a moment to see how it affected one of our heroes. Anyway, it turns out Monica's mom developed SWORD as sort of a space travel / advanced technology division. Kind of Star Labs meets the Men in Black. The director of SWORD sends Maria on a mission to investigate a missing persons thing in New Jersey. She finds out from Special Agent Louis Wong that this small New Jersey town is engulfed in some translucent bubble. I've been a fan of Photon, aka Black Captain Marvel, for a while, and I'm also a big fan of Tiana Paris.
Don't talk like that.
So it was great seeing her in the MCU, but this was pretty much my least favorite part of the series. Just because it took them a long time to not really help that much. I'd watch a Marvel Agents of S.W.O.R.D. show with these 3 characters, but in this show, they're pretty useless. Like, they were pretty much there to explain shit to the audience and give Monica her photon powers, and that's it.
Superhero landing!
That being said, the 3rd section of the series was probably my favorite.
Where are my children?
Where are my children? Woof! That accent really comes and goes, doesn't it?
After we find out that Agnes is really a witch named Agatha Harkness,
What?
that's where the show gets pretty incredible, especially in the episode previously on where we get a peek into Wanda's backstory. This scene was great not only because it's tense and it looks really good, but also because this is a callback to Pietro's monologue from Age of Ultron.
We're 10 years old, having dinner, the 4 of us. And the first shell hits 2 floors below, it makes a hole in the floor. It's big. And the second shell hits, but it doesn't go off. It just sits there in the rubble, 3 feet from our faces.
Granted, you probably don't remember this scene because it was so fucking boring, but I do like how they not only brought this moment back up, but they used it to explain that the reason the bomb didn't go off was because Wanda already had powers. I was a little bit disappointed that she's not a mutant, but you know what's cooler than being a mutant? Being
Magic!
Shut up, you weirdo.
Seriously though, I do really like that they're leaning more into the magic side of the MCU. And I love that Kathryn Hahn is now in the Avengers Rogues Gallery. Kat Hahn is a fucking treasure. She makes everything better. I was a little disappointed with the final episode. It sounds like everyone was. And it's not disappointing that no one important showed up, it's disappointing that the show alluded to someone important showing up. Like, it would have been fine without all the hype. We would have still watched. What the fuck else are we gonna do? But that's not really the reason I was disappointed. I was just kind of hoping to see a more magical fight between Agnes and Wanda. It's pretty much the same problem I had with the Doctor Strange movie. There was some cool shit in there, but there wasn't anything that made me feel like Harry Potter magic. It was mostly like buildings moving around and sparkly karate. I think that's why people love that Doctor Strange Thanos fight so much. Even though it was kind of short, it did feel like these 2 titans of magic fighting against each other, like Dumbledore versus Voldemort. It was the first time we saw 2 people using magic against each other creatively. I just think that they could have done something more visually interesting than shooting lasers at each other. But what do I know? It took me forever to put this video together, and it's just like mostly fart jokes. Wanda hasn't really gotten a lot of play in the Avengers movies, which is fair. There's like 42 characters in those movies. But one of the benefits of these Disney Plus shows is that it gives the creators an opportunity to flesh out some of these lower level characters that we don't get to see that much of in the films. Because let's face it, all those movies are about Tony Stark. But I like what they're doing here. If they continue like this, I feel like each of these shows is gonna feel like a graphic novel, which makes sense because a few of these series seem to be adaptations of pretty famous comic book storylines. I don't expect the stories to be the same. I mean, Civil War was similar to the comic storyline, and this series had elements of House of M and Tim King's Vision storyline, but they were adapted to fit the world of the MCU. And I'm sure that all of the series going forward will do the same. I do want to talk about one more thing though. Some critics have said that this does a disservice to the character of Wanda and that it's a poor representation of women and mental health. But to that, I say, sometimes it be like that. Sometimes people do snap out of grief and do bad things that they're not proud of. I mean, she is the villain of the series. Sure, there's Agatha and Director Hayward, but they didn't make her trap all those people. Sometimes a villain can just be a villain. A complex one, sure, but Wanda is not a good person. She's definitely not an Avenger anymore, so she's probably gonna pop up as a bad guy in the future. Her hero-villain status is always kind of murky in the comics anyway. In fact, I don't know why she didn't go to jail at the end.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
It wouldn't change how they see me.
Stop talking, go to jail.
We'll probably see White Vision again. Of course, White Vision is the opposite of Black Vision, aka Vashon.
It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the street.
And I think they already confirmed that Wanda was going to be in the Doctor Strange sequel, so I'm excited to see where it all goes and how strange it's going to get. Strange. I said strange. We're gonna see how strange. Did you see what I did there? My ranking, I liked it. Fingers crossed the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is just as good. Hopefully we can all temper our expectations and ease up on all the fan theories and just enjoy the show as a show. So that's it for this video, guys. If you like this video, please don't forget to leave a like. That stuff really does help. And for some reason, the only video that's doing any good is that Old Guard video. Why are you guys so interested in the Old Guard? What's that about? Anyway, stay safe, my little live studio audience, and may the Force be with you.